التي تواجه شعوبنا وتؤثر على قدرتنا على الاستمرار في المسار التنموي لدولنا الإفريقية. اتصالا بما تقدم، وضعت مصر أمام أعينها أهدافا محددة خلال رئاستها للنبات.
During her presidency to Nepal is focusing on the economic continuity and facing the challenges. It is one of the priorities that we have to manage with the Secretariat of Nepal, headed by the Executive Director Mardus Tikili. Within our discussion with the African brotherly states, which continue on the benefiting of the different Egyptian expertise and the private sector companies working in energy, telecommunication and infrastructure, which are ready to offer support to the brotherly African state in its path to development. Within this framework, I would like to highlight the Egyptian priorities for heading Nepal during the coming 2 years. First, the finalizing of the tenure to continue the Agenda 2024-2034, within taking into consideration the challenges that we did face and which will be considered with the other entities of the African entities to face and fulfill the desire of the African continent. Secondly, continuing our efforts to collect the financial need for continuing the construction of the infrastructure within the important project like linking the Mediterranean and Victoria and the road between Cairo, Cape Town, and also increasing the role of the private sector and the global continuity for the infrastructure and development, which the Secretariat of Nepal are suggesting to collect the funding and precisely decide the needs of Africa. Thirdly, continuing our arrangement with the international institution to find solution to solve the debt crisis within finding a mechanism and exchanging or ending our debts and governing the financial system. Fourthly, continuing our work toward our free trade agreement, and within this framework the effort exerted to the initiative of 100,000 companies and merging these companies and the efforts that the organization did pay to use the efforts of the youth in company management and entrepreneurship. Fifthly, moving forward to collect our funding for the tripartite program, which is sharing the priorities of the reconstruction and development after the crises and wars, which I have the honor to preside. And I invite the Secretariat of Nepal to work within this frame and organizing with the AU and the Center of Reconstruction and Development after the crises that Cairo is hosting. Ladies and gentlemen, I presented Egypt Vision, which is led by Nepal within the plan for the coming 2 years. And I'm looking forward to materialize that on the ground in management with our brothers, the heads of state and governments, and the heads of the secretariat of the agency. And Egypt is ready to work hard to fulfill the economic integrity, to reach the economic development, to increase the standard of living of our citizens. Heads of state and governments, allow me to talk about the climate change and the economic crisis. And thank you for allowing me to talk again within our meetings today. And at the beginning of my speech, I would like to talk about the link between the climate change and the challenges that the regional economic integrity is facing. The climate conference, COP27, in November 2022, which was hosted in Sharm el-Sheikh, reflected our responsibility, the responsibility of the African states to face the repercussions of the climate change. I would like to talk about the work of Mr. Rotu, that he worked hard according to the efforts that his country was hosting the COP in next September. I would like to thank Mr. Osman Ghazali, the head of commerce, as he initiated an initiative for the blue economy to face the climate change, and he is helping in boosting and enhancing the economy and development. Our conference is coming in time that we are facing the repercussion and the expected repercussion of the many crises, which has a very important effect on the developing nation, especially the African nation and our societies, and to protect what we did achieve. Also, we are not sure how the international community and its institution and the funding institution to provide an environment for the green economy, as we are finding many interrelated crises, the energy crisis, the food and crisis, and other crises of the climate as well. Egypt hosting the COP27 was from our concern to be an active participant and an active role in coordination with the international community, and the role of the African continent to boost the role of Egypt and the African continent for the climate change and its repercussion, and our dual responsibility and the repercussion, and taking into consideration the individual situation of the states. Africa is one of the most harmed continents, which diversify from the danger that the Western and states are facing, and we have to look for means and think out of the box to deal with it for a more stable community and achieve sustainable development. Ladies and gentlemen, despite what COP27 and Sharm el-Sheikh summit did reflect, but the realization on the ground require the international institution and international partners to cope, and they are not coping positively with the needs of Africa for the change for a better economy, in economy for the agriculture. On the same time, reaching the requirement of the sustainable development. Within that framework, I would like to offer Egypt vision according to the axis that we need to highlight and focus on in the coming stage. First, providing the opportunity and the environment for achieving and doing the project for the renewable energy. Secondly, have proper and valid access in different fields, focusing on justice, as we have to take into consideration the social and economic differences, and which have a direct impact on the international trade, especially the export of the African and developing states. Fourthly, justice for the climate and facing the repercussion of the climate change, and adjust that the African states are having great and major price to pay. Fifthly, having more cooperation, regional cooperation, to provide a dual benefits between the different states and face the repercussions of that. Provide an international environment, especially the financing of these crises and these repercussions, and the national property of every state, and not minimizing any funding for reaching sustainable development. Seventhly, act positively to face the repercussion and the debts, and find innovative solutions for facing the increasing debt and the interests. Ladies and gentlemen, I offered Egypt's vision regarding the axis that we should be focusing on within our work to face the repercussion of the climate change, and now we have to work forward to materialize these highlights on the ground. Egypt, regarding that, starting many initiatives on water and agriculture, energy, hydrogen, and diversifying the biological diversification, and the initiative for hydrogen of renewable hydrogen. Finally, I am confident that the next summit, COP28 in the United Arab Emirates, would be a concrete step in a fair path to protect our planet from the repercussions, the catastrophic repercussion of the climate change, and I look forward to work together so the African and developing state will continue to work with the international agenda to face the existential threats. Thank you so much.